Hey guys, well it's winter time up here now. Trenton and I came up here for the weekend to do a little work on the Gabin, and we got snow on the ground now. So, seems like work has slowed up a little bit now that we come up here and it's cold out and there's snow because there's things to do before we can actually start working. Like before this summer, we'd come up here, we wouldn't be here for 5 minutes, and we'd have every tool we needed out of the truck and we'd hit the ground running. And now when you get here, you got to shovel snow, you got to get heat going in the Gabin, and that takes about 3 hours to kind of get it comfortable in there. More like 12 to really get everything up the temperature in there. But that's what it's like staying in the cabin, and that's what you have, and it's fun. And we set up a little kitchen in there this weekend so I could kind of cook and prepare stuff, because now it's winter time. The use of the camper's done. I don't want to try and use that in the winter time. I think it's hard on it, so we're gonna let that thing rest for the winter. And so now on, anytime we're up here, we're staying in the Gabin, and that's where we'll eventually always be anyway. So might as well start now. So a couple things we did this weekend was finish up our insulation and put up our vapor barrier. And Trenton also put up this shed, tent shed. We're gonna put a small tractor in there with a snow blower. So as the snow gets deeper up here, we have a way to remove the snow out of our driveway. Because as I've said before, we are 600 feet off of the road. So we have a pretty lengthy driveway. So we'll just walk inside and I'll just kind of show you our progress for the weekend. And like I said, it wasn't a lot of stuff, but we are all insulated in now. So any heat that we do produce in here will stay in the Gabin. And it's nice once you get this concrete up the temperature on how warm it gets in here then. And now that we've been in here all morning tracking in and out of here, carrying in wood. Trenton just stacked all this wood in here. We put a bunch of wood in the back of the truck and hauled it over to the door, and then he hauled the wood in. But we carried in 33 sheets of OSB this morning, and here's some of it right here. I think I left 11 sheets down here. But this is what we're going to do the upstairs in, and downstairs really. All these walls will end up getting covered in OSB. Why? Because it's free. It's free to me. The product that I use at work, when it comes, it has OSB on the top and the bottom of it for shipping purposes. And so that all the OSB I used in this whole Gabin so far has been free. Didn't pay a penny for it. So that's huge. That's huge for me to save that much money on the OSB when it's like $14, $15 a sheet, I think, right now. And I think I used 70 to frame the Gabin. And then we used all this. This was all free to do the flooring up here. So here's 22 sheets that we stacked up here. And they'll end up going on the ceiling and the walls up here everywhere. And eventually we'll do our dividing walls up here, and they'll get covered in it also. But this is a good start. I figured it was going to be close to 30 sheets to do everything up here. So we put 22 of them up here so it's not too much in our way. It's not a huge area to work in up here. So you got to limit the amount of material that you have in your way. Trenton's kind of called this his bedroom. He's been staying up here a lot. He likes it. And it's great. He's got his own space. And here's our look out the window again. I just love this view. Here's the little storage tent that Trenton set up. But now with the leaves down, you can really see down in the woods a long ways. It's nice. I love it. I like coming up here and just looking out the window. We're kind of up on a slight of a ridge. No mountain range by no means at all, but we're kind of up on a little ridge, so we kind of look down into this tamarack swamp back there. Just past that brush line, there's a tamarack swamp down in there. And that's where the deer like to hang out. And they come up out of there in the evenings and stuff. We'll see them come up close to the edge up here and feeding and stuff. So we'll head back downstairs. And excuse me. Oh. Like I said, we got our vapor barrier all on everywhere. I didn't put it behind the stove. I have had some people express concerns, and yes, I got to get some metal back here. But see, my stove, I'm a long ways off of the wall. I'm way beyond what they recommend for air gap. And so I just left the insulation and the 2x6s exposed for now. I didn't want to run the plastic back here and risk any chance of that plastic melting. But we've been checking it with having this fan back here circulating air behind back here. Nothing's even warm back there at all. And we've had this fire cooking pretty hot this weekend a couple times, and there's no issues. I mean, there's my bed, and there's the stove, and I'm close because I have to man that thing at night. It 3 hours maximum burn on this thing is what I've figured out, because it's not a very big stove inside. You get like 3 pieces in there at the most, and so you get about 3 hours. And so I have to get up, keep wood in there. That's where I slept last night. There's our little kitchen area back in here. But this is where I slept last night, and I was cooking. The night before, I slept over here by this door. Why, I have no idea, but I froze. That was a bad mistake. That was a very, very bad mistake on my part. So sleeping over here, much warmer. This is the kitchen area that I set up. Nothing fancy. Got a camp stove, a couple pots, coffee pot, most important, and cutting board and paper towels and paper plates. That way it just minimizes everything for us, because when we're up here working, we don't have a lot of time to do dishes and stuff. And we use the paper plate to get the fire going. So it's a win-win for us. Well, that's it, guys. It's the first weekend in December. This is our first winter weekend up here for us. It was great. It was nice that it wasn't super cold out. It only got down to high teens at night, so it wasn't horrible, but we still had it 70-some degrees in here. So we're pretty confident when we're up here in the deep of winter, when it's really cold, we should be able to produce some heat. Until next year, once we get the Wurzbro hooked up, then the concrete will always be nice and warm. We'll set that at like 60 or something, and it'll be great. But a couple things: propane, power, don't have them yet. So that's not hooked up. That'll happen though. It's gonna happen. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks. Please comment.